A busy day in the state's capital today, and it has to do with this headline. PA House Committee quickly passes bill to legalize recreational marijuana. And joining us now, State Representative Jessica Benham, who is in a hotel room working hard in Harrisburg. Jessica, great to have you on the program tonight. And I think that we should talk about it as Democrats today, State House Committee approved a 173-page bill to legalize recreational marijuana in Pennsylvania, one day after the bill's unusual Sunday introduction. Governor Josh Shapiro's proposed budget for 25-26 includes more than $500 million in projected revenue from the anticipation of legalization. Your thoughts, and good evening, and welcome back to KDKA.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's definitely been a busy day here in Harrisburg. Lots going on, and it's nice to end my evening with you. And certainly happy to talk about the bill that we passed out of Health Committee today.
So why do you think this will work, and will it generate, do you think, the possibility of that kind of number, which would go a long way to help the coffers of Pennsylvania?
Oh, absolutely. The bill, as proposed, is projected to generate about $500 million in revenue, which would go a significant way toward addressing many of the issues that I think Pennsylvanians care about, whether we're talking about the cost of living, access to high-quality public education, fixing the problems with our public transit system, and so many other issues.
So, Jessica, how do we do this responsibly? What are your thoughts on how it works, but it works responsibly? Because that obviously is a concern. Go ahead.
Well, absolutely. But let's start with the fact, first and foremost, that Pennsylvanians are already accessing recreational cannabis. They're just not doing it legally here in the Commonwealth, whether they are crossing state lines to go to one of the many states that have legalized around us, or whether they are purchasing products that are available through loopholes like the Delta 8 products. Pennsylvanians are already engaging in this market. And so when we are talking about doing this the right way, when we are talking about doing this in a way that protects people's health, we need to be talking about regulation. And that's what the bill that we passed out of Health Committee today does so well, is that it puts responsible limits on the amount of cannabis that can be in products that are sold in Pennsylvania. It closes those loopholes around those products that are being sold in corner stores without proper oversight. And it makes sure that Pennsylvanians know what is in the products that they are purchasing.
Well, separately, a different House committee approved a bill setting up a $292.5 million increase for public transit. The latter is another priority for the governor, Mr. Shapiro, and also one for Pittsburgh Regional Transit. And you having a lot of your district right there on the south side and in this great city, and I've been supporting and singing the praises of regional transit for a long time. This is a definite must. If you want the economy to stall, then lose regional transit. We need to keep it happy and healthy and keep those buses and those opportunities of transit rolling for people who are out there every day counting on them to be there when they're waiting for them, right?
Couldn't agree more. You know, I didn't have a car before I was a state representative and had to start driving halfway across the state for this job. I was a frequent rider of PRT, well, Port Authority. I'm still going to call it Port Authority. I think for the rest of my days here, it's a hard habit to break, but now PRT, and just a big fan of the work that they're doing. And certainly it's an important first step that Rep. Nielsen's bill that provides a significant amount of funding for our transit authorities across the state passed out of House Transportation Committee today in a bipartisan fashion. But that legislation, let's be clear, doesn't go far enough to meet the needs that our transit system has. And that's why, alongside Rep. Arian Abney, with a Senate companion bill, prime-sponsored by Senator Lindsey Williams and Senator Nikhil Saval out in Philly, we've proposed a bill that does a little bit more and goes a little bit further, because we want to make sure that Pittsburgh Regional Transit doesn't have to make the massive cuts that they're talking about having to make.
Listen, because you're so connected to the city, your district, and you live in that city of Pittsburgh that we all love, especially a historic South Side, I'm just going to ask you this mayor's race, the Democratic ticket, obviously the incumbent mayor, Ed Gainey, Allegheny County Controller Corey O'Connor. We're going to have a debate here in the studio on Thursday at 9:30, the election May 20th. What will you hope to see as we move forward? What do you think the biggest needs are for this city? Go ahead.
Oh, I think that from my perspective as a state representative, what we really need from the city is cooperation between the different levels of government. You know, we are at a time where there is a lot of infighting and a lot of division, and we really need to be able to all work together. There are big problems that we are facing as a Commonwealth and as a city, and it is only through working together that I think we will be able to address them in a way that works well for all of our residents.
The thing that I'm key on is public education. That's always been something I'm very passionate about, especially the Pittsburgh Public Schools. You know, I was at the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters broadcasting during their open house on Saturday, and we had many students from around the area, high school students there, just checking out a possible future for them. What do we do to help education and get the funding that is needed so every child has the opportunity to have good teachers, good administration, solid brick and mortar, and more importantly, the tools to get educated? Education moving forward, State Representative Jess Benham. Jess?
Well, we have an obligation under our state constitution to provide that high quality public education to every single student. And, you know, we had that court decision that said we weren't doing our part on the state level. And so I'm really proud to continue to be a staunch supporter of our 7-year plan to fulfill that obligation, to meet that need. We're going to continue to make progress on that in these budget negotiations as we work toward the state budget. But it's also, again, about working together, right? Working together with our federal partners and with our local partners on school boards in order to make sure that our school systems work well. So when it comes to Pittsburgh Public Schools, you know, it's really important that we're having honest conversations about how we attract and retain students, how we make sure that we have a school facilities plan that prioritizes the needs of our communities and make sure that no students and no families are left behind.
Last question for you. Obviously, you're a bright light. You care about people. You are in that category that is the future as far as young people living and also working in the city of Pittsburgh. I know you were shocked as all of us were with this recent storm, and now there's about 10,000 people still without power. They hope to have that power back on by tomorrow night at 11. Just your thoughts, the afterthoughts of the storm that went through this region. I mean, so quickly, but caused so much damage. Jessica.
It is amazing what a maximum of 15 minutes of a storm can do to a community. I have to tell you, I was surprised to come home that night and find out that, you know, about a quarter of my own roof had blown off. So that was an experience, I will say. But got a tarp over that and quickly moved on to helping my constituents. You know, drove around and walked around my district, meeting with folks who were impacted and working to get them the support that they need in this time. And, you know, there are still a number of folks who are without power. I've been spending all day today in between meetings here in Harrisburg fielding text messages, Facebook comments from people who still don't have power or who are still dealing with roads being blocked by trees or other debris. And so we have a long way to go, and I think we definitely need to be having longer-term conversations about how we are better prepared for storms of this magnitude, because there are a lot of people who aren't just inconvenienced by what happened, but who are experiencing real threats to their livelihood, whether it's folks who don't quite meet the income limitations to be SNAP recipients, but nevertheless can't afford to replace a full freezer or fridge of groceries, whether we're talking about people who rely on power to make sure that their medical equipment keeps functioning. I mean, there are people who are experiencing hardships that are more than just the inconvenience of not being able to turn the lights on. So we need to be having those long-term conversations about how we are better prepared moving forward. But seriously, major shout out to our public safety employees and to the linemen that are out there, making sure that we get Pittsburgh back with the lights on again.
Jess, it's always good talking to you. Keep up the good work. We appreciate your time tonight, okay?
Thanks so much for having me.